All right, guys, welcome back to Crypto Mischief. Richie here, where I talk about my favorite thing in the entire world. That's goddamn cryptocurrency. That's right. I moved my camera, just found it. So today we're going to be joining a live spaces for Swarm Network, who just got listed on Binance Futures. It's one of the first SUI projects to do this. We're just waiting for them to kick off the X spaces, and I'll move over to there and show it live. I'm a speaker for this one, so I'm quite excited about that. Of course, I've been in Swarm since the very start. Before Swarm was even released, I was part of an AMA. Well, I hosted an AMA with the founder, Yannick Mysten. So I'm very happy to see that they're going to list on Binance. And they still have licenses available, by the way. You can scan that code up there if you want to get one. We've been earning tokens for about 6 months now with this. Can't wait for the TGE because we're going to make bank. Swarm is an AI project on SUI, which offers you the ability to create your own AI licenses. So that's also pretty cool as well. So with all that said, we're just going to wait for the live space, people to start talking on that. And hopefully it's going to be pretty soon. If you do have any questions you want to ask, then you can write them in the comments here. I'm also on X, I believe, with my account as well. So that's pretty good as well. Oh, we just got a subscriber, Kevin. Welcome, Kevin. Nice. And yeah, so we're just going to chill for a bit and see what's going on. If you want to say hi, say hi. He's first. AOX is first on stream. Fantastic. Good stuff there. Hopefully, the plan is also to pitch.
Okay.
Right.
All right. Vlad, you have speaker slot now, right?
Yeah, all is fine.
All right. So I'm waiting for Jesse. Jesse, if you're here, could you request again? Because I don't see you as a speaker as well. Guys, let's get started. Welcome everybody. This is our SUI Megaspace. I am here today with a couple of very interesting people. All of us are, of course, building on SUI. My name is Yannick. I am the founder and CEO of Swarm Network. For those who don't know, what we do is we created the Truth Protocol. We have an agent framework that our users can very soon use to contribute to this protocol. And in essence, what the Truth Protocol does is it brings arbitrary data on chain in a verified manner. There's an app which is called Rollup News, which we built on top of this. But we're here to talk not just about me, but in general, we're talking about SUI, the momentum behind SUI, why we're building on SUI, what we're building on SUI, and just pitching in here and there. It's a relatively open format of discussion, and I'm very excited to hear what everybody is doing nowadays. I've spoken to almost all of you guys before. I think I've spoken to everybody before, so it's an interesting panel we have here. So first of all, I want to bring John to the stage. John is a lead hacker at Mysten Labs, and he's actually one of the people that really works, under the hood of this ecosystem, which we're all enjoying. And yeah, maybe John, you can talk a little bit about, about the SUI space.
Hey, thanks for the intro. Yeah, I'm the lead hacker for Mischief Labs. I work on the hacker team directly for Costas. So I think, if you follow me on Twitter, you probably see some of the stuff we're up to here in Korea and Singapore for some of the events. But I started out as helping build out the security org and the security team at Mysten. Backgrounds in cryptocurrency custody, and I've been like a big believer in crypto and worked for a few of your companies in the space. But I'm here to talk to you about like Mysten Labs, Suite, and kind of our bigger vision for where we see AI in the future and what we're doing to help everyone. So definitely excited to talk about that. I don't know if you all saw on the news recently our announcement with Google on the Agents Payments Protocol 82. It's kind of like built on top of some of these other protocols we've seen in the space, like Coinbase's X402. And it was just an awesome collaboration with Google and Mysten Labs and a bunch of other people in the ecosystem like MasterCard, PayPal, Coinbase, Eigenlayer, the Ethereum Foundation. You can go to like ap2-protocol.org and find out more. But this is one of those examples where, hey, we're here at Mysten Labs. We're kind of a big company with a big backing and a lot of people that come from the kind of old school tech world. And so we're bringing like that energy into the crypto space, and it gives us the opportunity to collaborate with these kind of tech giants like Google and whatnot, and start working on these types of protocols. And the more you dig into that and get the builders in the space, like go research it, start building on top of it. But like kind of one of the theses we have is like we're trying to pave the way from an infrastructure perspective for other people in the ecosystem, other projects in the space to kind of grow and flourish.
Bit of a rough sound there. I'm going to try rejoin and see if it sounds any better. It's always the best way. Definitely because I'm using VPN.
In our ecosystem gets an awesome opportunity to build cool things, and we want to partner with the bigger players in the space to make sure everyone's on the same page and they're building agents all from the same spec. I don't know like the audience that well. I don't know how much you know about SUI. It's a blockchain. We have like sub half second transaction finality. We're pretty fast. We can do the microtransactions. We have programmable smart contracts in Move. Move is a programming language developed at Facebook after they did years of research looking at all the programming languages, all the smart contract languages, and they wanted to make sure you had certain security benefit or guarantees. Like when you're programming in this language, they want to make sure that it was pretty hard to shoot yourself in the foot. And so there's been a lot of like core fundamental tech we've been developing just in the ecosystem to help everyone. So on top of the AP2 stuff, like the whole complete AI stack on SUI. If you're not familiar with Walrus, that's our decentralized storage solution. It's tailored for all sorts of storage needs, but if you're in the AI space, data is important for training your models, for like making better models, for all sorts of things. And so having a storage solution built in that's native to SUI, but you can extend it to whatever ecosystem you're building in, whether it's Solana or Ethereum, it's great. Kind of like ROE or Filecoin, it's there for you. But unlike those other solutions, we're building more stuff on top of that. We have Seal, which is a programmable privacy and access control layer on top of our decentralized storage. So you can now encrypt confidential AI data. You can define exactly what agents or what entities get access to that based on-chain policies implemented in Move. So your token-gated models, your time-locked data, your role-based access, all of that's enforced on smart contracts. And as far as I know, that hasn't been done anywhere else, at least not as a native solution on an L1. And then you have all this data. It's encrypted. It's accessed by special policies in your smart contract. But where do the real computations happen? If you do big computations on chain, you're gonna spend a lot of money on gas. And so what we've built is another product called Nautilus, which allows verifiable off-chain. You can right now it's kind of like it uses Nitro enclaves. We're extending it to like Google Cloud, confidential compute, and AMD SEV. Like we have a whole roadmap for Nautilus. It's pretty cool, but basically you can prove that certain computations happened off-chain with native functions in SUI. So you can delegate a lot of that compute to a safe, secure environment, and you don't have to pay the gas for that. And everybody can verify that. You can have special policies, so only certain data can be decrypted in certain Nautilus enclaves. It's a really cool setup. You get all the performance without sacrificing any of the verifiability. And yeah, so definitely check out Nautilus, check out Seal, check out Walrus, start building on top of that. And, it's everything's coming together towards a world where AI agents are these first-class economic participants. and they need first-class tools. And so it's in our mission to help build that. So yeah, those are some of the products, some of the things we've been building as like base foundation infrastructure for everyone in the ecosystem, and more than happy to talk about those different services and how they plug into the AI space. And you know, a little bit about me, like I'm an engineer at Mysten, and so anytime there's an AI project, I help evaluate it with our partnerships team. So I've seen a lot of these projects. You know, I love Swarm Network. Roll Up News is a really like favorite of mine because I have a lot of issues with the current media system, and so just really happy to be here, really happy to participate, and really happy to help any of the developers in the space start learning about the tools to, you know, build this new agentic economy that SUI's at the center of. So thanks for this opportunity and look forward to the discussion.
Awesome. Thank you very much for this warm introduction to our panel today, John. And yeah, so when we just came to the SUI ecosystem, you were one of the first people that we actually interfaced with. And we came into the SUI ecosystem through this program, the SUI Hub program, which has evolved magnificently since its grassroots. We were part of the first batch of projects that made it into the SUI Hub. And Tom is here today as well, who was a part of Brink, who was one of the partners alongside with SUI to be able to organize this. So he's also seen a lot of these grassroots projects arrive at SUI, you know, around the same time, and a lot of them, they have now grown out and flourished into very, very good projects. And we are joined by some of them today. So yeah, I want to pass on the mic to Mike first and talk a little bit about, like, you know, because we're here talking about SUI. It's like, how is Talos moving forward, and how are we seeing all these new things that SUI is building, you know, like Walrus, like Seal, and how are we building, or how are you building things adjacent to that, and maybe let us know a little bit more, you know.
Yeah, thank you, man. Thank you for having me, and it's nice to see you here. And thank you for that very deep introduction. I learned a lot your way. And Tom, what's up, man? Long time. So yeah, we at Talos, we are the premier infra for decentralized AI agents. You can think about it as an AI network that enables developers to launch specifically revenue generating agents. We've identified this problem that a lot of people are launching agents, but in reality, there's no real way of monetizing them. And to do this, we're pioneering this new concept called AVA, or agent versus agent markets, within the prediction AI category. We're also building this application called Idle.fund, which is the first agent versus agent market platform. So if you think about Talos, you can think about it in sitting in the unique intersection between AI agents, decentralized infrastructure, and prediction markets. So we build the foundational layer that enables AI agents to compete, earn in verifiable, transparent information markets. We're working pretty closely with SUI. Yesterday, we had some pretty big announcement, getting an investment from the SUI Foundation and the Walrus Foundation, which, you know, it's great getting support from the SUI team, which in our opinion has been probably the number one team in terms of technology and go to market within the whole crypto industry. We've been, you know, pretty close. We are also pretty fond of Walrus, using it for storage within our applications that we're launching, using it natively within our protocol. And also, we've been actively exploring a lot of tools that John mentioned, like Seal for encryption, and also Nautilus for TE execution, which will enable all the agentic workflows to be executed within trusted execution environments. Something that I forgot to mention, which is at the core of our protocol, is the Nexus protocol, which is a decentralized automation protocol. That you can think about it as a decentralized Zapier or N8N, where, you know, people could build workflows and execute these workflows. All the smart contracts are on SUI, so we leverage SUI's object-oriented model and move smart contracts to make sure everything gets executed correctly. And then we have a set of leader nodes that make sure that the coordination happens. But yeah, been speaking for a bit, so pass on the mic.
Awesome. Thanks for that, Mike. Tom, I want to ask you about, you've seen so many projects in this first batch of the SUI Hub, right? I think you guys interviewed over more than 600 projects, and then eventually there were only a handful among us that went through and received the investment from SUI. But what did you see when you were assessing all of these projects, specifically in relation to building on SUI? Like, why were most of those projects coming to SUI? What were they building, and what has made it through?
Yeah, firstly, thanks, Yannick, for having us. Super cool to be here. Cool to see some familiar faces as well. Hey, Mike. Hey, Vlad. In terms of, as you said, I mean, we got a ridiculous amount of applications, and that was one of the super cool things about working with the SUI ecosystem. It's just, at least earlier this year, it was just kind of like exploding. Everyone was talking about it. Everyone was excited about it. And obviously the accelerator just got a huge reception as a result. In terms of what made it through and what's exciting now, it was kind of crazy. I mean, like compared to accelerators last year you'd look at accelerators, it'd be like sort of 80% DeFi and then a mix of the remaining 20 would be like a mix of things. It's like 50-50 AI and DeFi now. And obviously there's some RWA and that you can kind of like factor in that into DeFi that I'm talking about. It's pretty crazy the amount of attention the AI sector is getting. I think the main thing, one of the main things we were looking at, we were excited about AI as well. One of the main things we were looking at is people who are actually using AI in a meaningful way rather than just kind of like using it to create hype. Now, I think, for example, Talos, who are here, the AI prediction market, super exciting. I'm really excited for what comes out of us. Swarm, one of the reasons you guys, kind of like made it through to 600 was this was a really meaningful use of AI and a very cool overlap with sort of Walrus and the potential with leveraging the unique sort of features that the SUI ecosystem has. And that's always kind of like a factor when you're working with an ecosystem. It's like, what's the main benefits of working with that chain specifically? And how is this project actually looking to leverage those benefits? And you guys obviously have like a lot of kind of like overlapping potential use cases with SUI. So that was one of the things we were looking for during. And I think that's kind of one of the things that you can see through all of the cohorts. Like, for example, Native have done extremely well when it comes to their community growth. And I think that's because they leveraged Eco. Eco is obviously one of the biggest projects that has come out of SUI over the past year. They saw the opportunity because they saw how they could collaborate with essentially the tech stack and infrastructure they were building on SUI, rather than just trying to make it fit on another ecosystem. Like the SUI tech stack had certain benefits that was great for them. We luckily saw that, and we were able to kind of back, essentially teams that are able to leverage those unique benefits. And I think that's one of the really cool things about SUI, both now and going forward.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, so I want to hook into that a little bit. And by the way, guys, feel free to raise your hand if you want to address something that somebody else has said. We don't have to like go one by one, but I'll just try to keep the conversation going as much as I can. What I wanted to say is like what we really enjoyed about SUI in the beginning is that the roadmap from the team was so clear. Compared to other ecosystems, you're like, okay, well, we're going to have a bridge, we're going to have a DAX, we're going to have this and that, all the basic infrastructure that you'd expect to be there anyways, right? Usually that takes like a gazillion years. I remember what was the chain called? Blast, I believe. Like there was so much hype, but there was no infrastructure. Like wallets were completely ridiculous and unusable and so on. So, but with SUI, when we arrived, even though the chain was relatively new, everything was working pretty well. And then there was this very clear roadmap of like, okay, here, like this is how we see the AI space developing. Here are the important categories, within the tech industry that have to be available to people. Like Walrus was like a very obvious one, but we were looking into, storage options for our rollup news, for example, and just in general for Truth Protocol, because we create these very elaborate studies of certain claims, and there's a lot of evidence and there's a lot of data that normally you wouldn't store on chain because it's just a pain in the ass, right? But with Walrus, it actually became, and also with Tusky, by the way, it became very easy for us to do so. So there was an immediate kind of like match for us. And since then, you know, we've gotten a grant from Google, which really helped us to scale up some of our infra. But that infra is purely used for bringing objects onto SUI essentially and accelerating this process. So that's been pretty great. Yeah, I think, you know, for us AI builders, the chain itself has a very solid focus, and we find ear with the Mysten Labs team, and you know, like John, we've spoken a couple of times to him, but through Brink and through Mysten and through the accelerator, we had the chance to speak to so many talented people at Mysten, which really convinced me that, you know, like this chain is ready for something different. You know what I mean? So Jesse, maybe you can speak a little bit on your experience in the SUI ecosystem, because I believe you didn't come through an accelerator. Is that correct? And you guys have been here for a while too. So maybe you can speak on that for a bit. Can you guys hear Jesse?
No.
No.
I don't think he has a speaker.
Jesse, we cannot hear you.
Oh, the good old X is giving up the usual problems. Let me try again. X is buggy. Super buggy.
Welcome to the amazing world of X spaces, which always work very well.
A feature, not a bug, you know?
Yes.
I'm going to try hard refresh. It's the only way to fix the buggy X. That's it. Okay. Try that.
But since then, I guess you've come a pretty long way.
Yep. Thanks for inviting, first of all. Really also doing like amazing job with hosting these spaces and sharing the experience with fellow builders. I see a lot of people that connected have insight, for example, to approach on to try or share their own like stuff they're building, so to get like more experience from Mysten. Yeah, we also came like the long way. So we have been in the space for quite some time. Like we're building infrastructural piece first of all for non-custodial asset management. We did a lot of pivots, and I think like we even met like 1 year ago first, and we were in non-SUI. After that, we came the long way. Also, we're part of SUI Hub together in the same cohort with Tom. And yeah, like first of all, I'd like to share that the support of Mysten, SUI, and Hub in general is like very notable, at least. So even I'd like to mention that Mysten Lab organized like this knowledge sharing when we hadn't any experience writing in Move before, but we were sent in the office to hang out with Morty as well, and other like CTOs of SUI Hub projects to learn how to build, to answer all the questions, get like support. We even staying connected still, and all the answers being like heard and answered very well. So I'd like to highlight the highest support of SUI. We also went in milestones for initial integration of SUI, and finally released like the first version of product. And right now we're working on next layer of creating like more consumer facing apps on top of the
Do, 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 do. I have to try sign in with my phone because X is being really buggy. 1 second, and I'll move over to the stream again. I love X when when it doesn't work. It's always the moment when everything doesn't work.
Architecture just makes it for our agents to operate in real time pretty well across DeFi, across DAOs and governance workflows without running into any significant bottlenecks. So it's been a pretty big game changer for what we can build, and we're basically just getting started.
Nice. Yeah. Maybe we can talk a bit about like what is going to tie us all together, because I am a strong believer in that, like kind of playing this co-op game between all of us in the end is going to allow us to scale together. So John, maybe you can start with speaking a little bit on that. As like, how do you see the SUI stack facilitating this?
Yeah, I mean, one of the leaders at Mysten, Sam, is always like, why does AI need SUI? Where's like the crux of the problem there? Why do robots need SUI? What's the crux of the problem there? And I think the thing that ties us all together here is we're very like Web3 focused, distributed systems, resilient, verifiable, on 24/7. Jeff Bezos can't turn us off, either can Elon Musk. And I think as we see consolidation and centralization of AI in society, as like AI is just kind of taking over society with like natural language process, like natural language tools and ChatGPT and whatnot, and all these LLMs. I think eventually they're going to be monetized and they're going to start advertising and shopping for you. And who knows, like Elon Musk will cut a deal with Louis Vuitton and no one will ever get reference to like a Prada bag or some Balenciaga stuff or whatever, because the Grok does not get sponsored, subsidized by the Balenciaga, and in distributed systems and in these like resilient AI platforms that you guys are building, that's not going to be the case. You're going to have like verifiable AI. You're going to know what data was used to train that AI, and you're going to have receipts for every step of that process. And I think that's really valuable. I think society sometimes sees the value in that, but most of the time they're just like, gimme, 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 like the low effort kind of just grabbing and consuming kind of economy. But as we start having AI girlfriends and boyfriends and they become part of our like emotional support and all, our concierge for life, I think these things are going to become really important because you bring them into your house, you bring them into your spirit, you bring them into your mind, and they have a lot of impact there. So verifying that and trusting that are really important. And when you talk about verification and trust, you typically end up in some type of, distributed system blockchain technology. So I think everything being built here by Talos, by Swarm, and all these awesome AI projects on SUI are kind of facing that. Like they want verifiability, they want trust in a trustless world. And that's the glue that binds us all together in this space and in all the things we do.
Yeah. Yeah, so this verifiability and trust is obviously very important, especially as the systems start to scale. So how I see the future of, like, for example, let's say like um, us as Swarm Network and all of our community members that are building on top of our protocol in the near future, like this is a very specific and hyper-focused niche that we're carving out. But that niche is probably not going to be living on its own, right? Because in the end, we want to have multiple protocols in one ecosystem that leverage on and off of each other, right? So now that um, now that Talos is also going to focus on this prediction AI, right? Like, and that's something that our protocol is probably pretty adjacent to. What is then the value of having this transparency and verifiability and having that be a standard on SUI, right? So, we use SUI infrastructure that we co-opt and co-create in order to create some kind of standard for verifiability of our operations and what happens on our protocol and how our agents and clusters and swarms are operating. Like then it will become much easier for us to be able to integrate with Talos or Talos integrate with us when the time comes, right? If we're built on different protocols or if we build in Web 2, like each integration has to be approached from let's say like a custom angle, right? Because like every business builds its stack differently. But I believe that because the SUI infrastructure is so suitable for us to build on, especially when we're talking about agents, clusters, and swarms, and all of what is adjacent to that, it will become much easier in the future for us to integrate with each other because we're all using similar standards. You know what I mean? Mike, maybe you can say some words on this too, and I see you shared something.
Yeah, so you raised very good points. In my mind, a lot of like a big percentage of why we decided to go into SUI was because of composability, or at least how like why we're building agents within blockchains. It's because of composability. At the end of the day, we want to have all these agents speak the same language and be able to communicate with one another. I know like you guys are focused on agentic swarms. We're mostly focused on workflows. There's ways of putting those together. Like you build multiple workflows, you compose them into the swarm, and then you go on from there and just stack them on top of one another. I think the move is great for composability, and that's why we were able to find this home within SUI where we would eventually be able to integrate with multiple other protocols within the same ecosystem. We've actually gone deep and developed this new primitive of like on-chain tools where you could ping different like smart contracts from your agent workflow, further enhancing composability. But again, like I think we're gonna see the same problem that we're seeing in blockchains right now, where you have multiple homes or hubs, and you're gonna have interoperability protocols within all these hubs, but at the same time, it's gonna be tricky to aggregate all of them. So we're still exploring. There's gonna be bridges. There's gonna be other interoperability protocols to communicate with other blockchains. Well, John could probably speak a bit more about ICA and how they're doing it on SUI. I think that's a great primitive to have where you could be able to call other smart contracts from other chains from SUI itself. So I think that in itself opens a lot of doors for composability and interop. But yeah, those are my thoughts.
Yeah, John, do you want to speak on that a bit?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's, SUI is the coordination layer for all things, right? So ICA is a great example of that, being able to coordinate and consolidate your control on a single blockchain, but still be able to execute and act all over the ecosystems in all the ecosystems is just a real big power play. So, that's part of the system, right? We're not we coordinate on SUI because we love Move and we trust Move. Like we understand that the security properties of the language and of the system itself. But there's all this stuff happening in all these other networks that we still kind of want to plug into and develop on top of. And so things like Ika are great, like gateways to that, right? So I think that's awesome. And yeah, interoperability is a big thing inside the SUI ecosystem and also outside of the SUI ecosystem. And so having the power to just like have a single place called home, that's SUI, but still be able to go out and travel and see other places like all these other awesome chains, that's great. But you still never leave like the security domain of SUI, which is important if you're building something that requires like a lot of trust and if there's great risk and compromise. So yeah, SUI's a great base, and then you can explore from that base into all the other places, including the Coinbase base, L2s, and everything in between. So yeah.
Right. Thanks. Okay, we finally managed to get both Vlad and Richie back on the space. It took about 5 invites. But yeah, Vlad, maybe do you want to finish what you were talking about earlier?
Yeah, I can try. I don't remember exact part when I get lost, but what I want to say is that if there is like any developers with any ideas and so on, please feel free to go and do something on SUI, and you definitely get the support. And you can definitely reach out like to fellow developers. You can reach out to me. You can reach out to guys from Mysten Labs and get support. So, which is really important. What I wanted to also share is that we need not the infrastructural part right now in majority of cases, but consumer-facing products. And this is like the way how we're developing our integration with SUI as well. From the infrastructural part, it's like done very well with latency and everything else. And of course, it's very young in terms of DeFi. And there was like recent hacks when we, for example, tried to integrate with certain protocols. However, like, I mean, there is a lot of ways and open ground and good TVL and number of developers growing, but it's very important to get marketing part done well. Because like what we found out, for example, it's like kind of hard to get onboarding users. I mean, on the consumer facing part. And of course, like B2B niche is very specific and dedicated to like infrastructural part, and you need to like do a lot of like partnership work and so on. But you still need users and onboard a lot of users to the protocol. That's why we're releasing in coming weeks the full like end-to-end Telegram bot with integrated non-custodial SUI, and which is similar. And users can able to make deposit to this account from their own wallets without sharing private keys, and able to manage their assets directly through the Telegram. Access to their accounts to the managers, like in a way how the funds or traditional brokerages work. So we believe that these might be very important. And yeah, like as discussed before, I'm not sure if it was popped up here, but we're looking forward also to the good marketing or the good ways to distribute this product. And if someone knows like or can help with this, this also will be more than welcomed. Sorry for disturbing and just returning back to my own cup of tea. Yeah, thank you.
No problem. Thanks, Vlad. I appreciate you being here. Hey, Richie, what's up, man? I hope you're doing good. Richie is a friend of mine, and Richie has been in the trenches, in the SUI trenches, especially for a while now. And yeah, maybe Richie, you can tell us a little bit from your perspective, like early days SUI, and then, coming up, seeing all of these projects, what sticks out, how is the community doing? Like, like just give us some insights from the trenches, you know what I mean?
Sure. I might sound like a robot because I got kicked off SUI before because everyone else was sounding like a robot, but hopefully I sound clear. So yeah, my name is Richie, or Crypto Mischief. So I've been in DeFi for about 6 or 7 years and worked as a YouTuber, kind of X guy. And past year, I've kind of decided to focus more on not just finding new and exciting things on SUI, but also building on SUI as well. So I think sometimes I'm quite a insightful person to ask about the experience for SUI, right? And also in terms of what I now focus on inside of DeFi, it's almost 100% SUI based at this point. Just because I just find it so smooth. And if I'm talking from the perspective of someone who lives to onboard more people onto crypto, SUI is the best way. There are so many great ways that you can just introduce SUI to anyone. For example, I also own a bar. So I'll be talking to some customers and they'll say, oh, I really want to get into crypto, but it's too confusing for me. The first thing I say is you should, join SUI, have a look at this. Here, open a wallet, right? Send you tokens and off you go, right? And they find it so quick and so easy. I can even send it to their telephone number, with SUI. It's incredible. So for just simply finding the smoothness of how it is to live and breathe and work around SUI, there's nothing better than it. For building on it, I find it tricky, I would say. The moment I'm building a DEX called SUI DEX, found it SUI DEX XQ. We've just gone through audits with Hack and Proof, and yeah, is almost finished. With the audits came back, but it was a massive challenge moving from EVM over to SUI Move. It's taken 6 to 8 months of development and bouncing ideas off the development team. They're having to essentially relearn how it works because of the object model, But in the end, it's made it. I think it's better, right? And I can talk for hours about what I love about SUI. Just that I'm a DEX kind of guy. Cetus, Bluefin, Aftermath, Turbos. I love DeFi yield, which is why we decided to go with creating a yield farm and DEX for SUI as well. And for Swarm, because this is the Swarm SUI megaspace. Me and Yannick spoke. It was about 6 or 7 months ago, I think, when we spoke on this on an AMA.
Yeah.
We spoke for about an hour, which is fascinating. Getting into your mind and seeing how you envisioned AI working in crypto, and the fact that it was also on SUI, it ticked all these boxes for me. Just bringing AI tools to the masses, onboarding more people, making crypto easy for people, and the truth aspect as well, true verifiable truth on the blockchain. It all ties really nicely.
What was the thing from that conversation that we had then that stuck with you the most?
You were talking about how you can essentially have superpowers if you can handle AI correctly, and to correctly use it, the general assumption is that you need to be a mastermind. But if you can create your own tools with AI, then this idea of having a superpower becomes a lot easier, and that can onboard so many more people once they realize that it's the limit. There's not this unachievable brass ring that you need to get to be able to leverage AI. You can create it for yourself. I think that was the one lasting piece of impression that you gave me.
Yeah, I still do truly stand by that, and I think that's one of the reasons why we might all be building in the AI space in general, is because it is so it can be such a liberating technology, and it can be such a groundbreaking technology for a lot of different people in the world for a lot of different purposes, and we can remove so many, let's say, inefficiencies from the world that we live in by marrying not just AI with blockchain, but also ourselves with AI. If in fact we do keep this very like well-defined relationship with the technology, where we are its master and it's a tool that we use to create things in this world and do better. Yeah, that is indeed something that I still stand by. And I think that is also one of the reasons why we decided to have such a, some people tell me that our mission and vision is too niche and too political or something like that. But I think it's actually a very beautiful mission, right? Because there are so many issues caused by just this this vagueness and this like insecure environment that we're living in, where we don't know in social medias, but not only in social medias, just on the general internet, like who is real, who's not real, like what statements are correct, like is something taken out of context, is this person a real person? Like there's so many things that pose a threat to us. And I see in my environment, a lot of people being very much influenced by these 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 technologies that become the master over us. So I'm talking, for example, about TikTok and short form videos. Like there's people that are scrolling like brain rot videos day and night, and they are letting this technology really rule them. And of course, AI also does pose this risk, right? AI also has this inherent ability to it to be able to be very persuasive and convincing. And like sometimes LLMs spew out like nonsensical information that sounds very logical, and people just take it for granted. So back then in our conversation, Richie, what I was also referring to, as I remember, is that like you really need to see yourself as a composer or as a conductor of the orchestra, where you have many different tools available to you, but in the end you are the one who is guiding the orchestra. You are the one who is really in control, right? And the word control is very important there. Yes, of course, we're looking for autonomy, and I think that all of us can speak on this because we're building in the AI space. It's like, yes, to a certain degree, you want to reach this autonomy, but at the same time, you also want to make sure that the autonomy is a result of your desire to reach a certain goal and you laying out a path to get there, right? So yeah, indeed. Jesse, maybe you can speak a little bit more on this as well. Maybe you have some ideas.
You're talking specific how SUI would tie us all together, right?
Yes, correct.
Yeah. So, I think what really ties all of us together is going to be that we're each building a piece of something bigger. Different verticals, different focuses, but really all of us are building in. All working towards a more autonomous, more trustless, more composable Web3, where systems don't just talk to each other. Really, the goal is for everything to work together in real time. The thing that I like the most about SUI is that it's not just fast. I feel it's built in a way that actually just makes a lot of coordination easier, makes it possible. So real execution, object-based design that it has, we think that it really gives us the freedom to build more complex, more interconnected systems, and it just helps us avoid a lot of bottlenecks without stepping on each other's toes. So, I think what's really going to bring this whole ecosystem together, it's not going to be a lot of the hype that we see around. It's not going to be even alignment. It's going to be the architecture, and SUI we've just found gives us the rails that we need to let our projects evolve independently, but still to be able to click together when everything matters.
I think we're losing you. Okay. Thanks, Jesse. I think we heard like most of what you said, except for plus minus the last 5 seconds. But that's all good. Yes. So cool. Thank you guys for joining us today. I want to just remind everybody that we're going to launch tomorrow on Binance Alpha and Binance Futures. 12 UTC plus 8 is the alpha launch, and 12:30 UTC plus 8 is the Binance Futures launch. So it's going to be almost at the same time. We have a bunch of other exchanges lined up as well. So, but that's not why we're here. Why we're here is because we're all in love with SUI, obviously. John, I want to pass the mic back to you to give us some closing remarks, and maybe you can conclude this conversation in a SUI fashion.
Oh yeah. Well, first of all, thanks for organizing this. Thanks for having this, and thanks for building on SUI. It's been really inspiring listening to you guys talk about this project, the ecosystem and all the core technologies, and how excited and how happy you've been to work in this ecosystem. So I'm definitely taking away a lot of warm feelings. I think for you guys, like, keep pushing, keep building, keep innovating, and keep believing in yourselves. Like, the future is what you make it, and no one's really gonna tell you what that's gonna be except your own selves. So all the people who are building out there, like, keep pushing, keep grinding, and share everything. Share the journey, because that's what life is all about, and that's what makes us human and separates us from the AI. So, like, the struggle is real, and we're all here to support each other. A rising tide lifts all boats, and the best ocean to be on is the sweet ocean. So great to see you all building your navies and deploying all your capitals. And I'm out here trying to make sure you guys are safe, swimming in the good waters, and testing out all the tech that you bring to Mysten industry. So it's been quite an honor, and I really look forward to the next couple of years as AI really infuses itself into society and crypto and everything in between. So thanks a lot, and reach out to me and anyone else in the SUI and Mysten Labs team if you guys have questions or looking for opportunities. We want to grow this place safe. We want to grow the ecosystem in a safe and secure manner, and you guys are doing just that. So thanks, Talos, thanks, Swarm, and thanks everyone else who's been building here.
Thank you very much, John. Mike, Richie, Jesse, Vlad, and Tom, thank you for joining us today. John, special thanks to you, and I hope to see you guys on the next one. Sorry for the inconveniences with the tech, but we must blame that on Elon Musk.
Damn Elon Musk.
Thank you,
That's
guys.
what I'm talking about. Elon Musk. Yeah. Nice space. Always nice hearing from Yannick. Technical difficulties aside, that's what's going to happen sometimes. Technical difficulties with X. What happens is, if you're interested in what happens in X and why things can go wrong, basically when you get approved to be a speaker on X, it puts you into, like, I like to call it the twilight zone. And the twilight zone is where you lose signal suddenly, like, you're like frozen in time like this. Then for about 5 to 10 seconds, you think everything's broken. Then you come back and you're back in, but you're either a speaker or some role has been changed on X Spaces. But that can also completely mess up your connection, and everything comes through robotic, and then you just can't hear what's going on, and you're completely lost. At that point, you need to sign back out and then rejoin. But what happened there was, when a bunch of speakers signed out and rejoined, when they requested to be speakers again, no notification was coming. And when Yannick, who was running the space, was asking them to be speakers, no notification was coming, which is why you should always set up a co-host on an X Spaces, so that if one person's kind of connection to the Twitter twilight zone is gone, you can rely on the second guy. But that was a really nice space from Yannick. He's always so well spoken about his intentions with AI and with SUI, and it's always quite a lovely kind of relaxing experience joining his spaces. So Swarm, if you want to know, you might be wondering what's going on, and why a Swarm mega space, what's going on there. So the thing with Swarm is this working? No. The thing with Swarm is that, yeah, they are going to be having their token launch, their TGE for Swarm Network is coming tomorrow, which would be October 1st. And they are listing first on Binance Futures. And of course, a lot of you will be owners of Swarm licenses. Like here, I have 5 licenses, and I have some of them are leased out, so they're earning tokens unleased. I cannot claim these tokens, but then other ones are not. So on TGE, I'm going to have 821,000 swarm tokens, roughly, to claim, but there is a penalty on claiming immediately. I believe it's 50% penalty to claim immediately. The way this will probably happen is that we will first get the listing on Binance Futures, and then after that, very shortly after that, I'm guessing in the same day or a day later, there'll be the TGE claim also opening up on the site. They do have airdrops as well going to KuCoin, which will be another way that people can get the token. They also still have the licenses available to purchase. Are they a good buy at the moment? So they could be a pretty good buy if you have a long-term vision for Swarm. Let me explain. So the license is, if you want to buy a license, they are $1,999, right, to buy your license. Of course, I've been earning with my licenses for 6 months. That's why I have so many tokens. So you would be a little bit late to the party if you're going to buy one now. But at the same time, they're just getting listed on Binance, which gives a lot of bullish sentiment for the progression and the growth of Swarm on SUI. This could be one of these projects where they're just getting started, right? And in terms of how many licenses have been sold, actually, the amount sold is not earth-shattering, actually. They had, I think it was 10,000 max supply, and the amount of licenses that they've shipped are, I have to scroll down this site. Let me find it. Importantly as well, from Discover Agent licenses, there we go. So importantly as well, the licenses which are not sold, so 10,084 licenses have been sold so far, which is one license is $1,000. So that's already a good haul of income coming in, but they have a lot more available, I believe. Let's look up the docs. Let's find out. It's been a while since I checked, actually. License ownership, agent licenses. Does it say how many there are? Any ones which are not sold, I think 6 months after the TGE get burned is how I remember it, which is also quite bullish as well. So it could be a good buy. Of course, none of it is nothing that says financial advice. This is only me. Yeah, early burn claim penalty. This is important. So we're going to be able to claim our tokens. If you wait 31 days, then you can claim 70% of them. If you just want to get your tokens straight away, you're going to have to claim only 50%, and 50% will be burned. If you want the full 100%, you got to wait 93 days. I'll probably wait 32 days and take the 70%. It's my aim, I think, for this, because I want to see if Swarm Token has the legs to continue to grow. Their technology is still not out, right? So everything they're going to be bringing to market, their AI tools, their licensed AI tools, which you can access with the Swarm license. Because remember, we're not just mining for tokens with these. We're also getting the ability to use their code-free licenses to build your own agents, to build your own AI agents as well, is what we're getting with the Swarm network license package. So it's because on this channel, I do talk a lot about yield and how you can earn. I'm obviously more leaning towards yield possibility and how I can, improve my crypto bank account. But at the same time, the power of what you're going to be able to use, unlock with this agent license is another huge selling point of them. They're in the egg spaces. Yannick, the CEO, was talking about orchestrating your own, your own music with your AI, right? That would be, SUI giving us the tools. Swarm gives us truth and the ability to manage multiple AIs in unison, right? It's up to us to build these agents and bring on the communities. If we have tools which are code-free and easy to use that we can plug in and powerful tools at that, then the idea of bringing in a large amount of community into whatever it is you're trying to achieve with your AI doesn't have to be crypto-based. It could be anything in the real world as well. Then we're not just building DApps, we're actually outreaching into real life. That is, in a sense, what we should be able to do with our licenses. once that product comes to market and it's not yet there, right? So we don't have the code-free tool AI creation yet. The roadmap, we have the token generation event just coming right now. Then we will have the Swarm Deliberate AI V1 is set for Q3, probably Q4 now, because they're about 1 quarter behind in their rollout of everything. They do have a couple primitives already available that you can check out, like their truth verification bot, which is going as well. We have Trap DeFi, you man, hope all is well. I'm all good, man. We're just talking about AI on SUI and this project, which I think is going to make incredible profit for me, but also how much profit I'm going to make from leveraging AI as well. And that's also important, right? Because at the moment, right, say you want to master AI, you want to become an AI, legend, essentially. How to do it? You need to really sit down and plan out how you're properly engaging with, ChatGPT, for example, right? So as an example, I've been going through, different lessons using generative AI to launch a new app, right? Is what I'm learning at the moment, how to do this with Codecademy, right? So this is a free course, which I'm going through at the moment. And this is all about prompt engineering, because I'm preparing for when I get no-code tools with Swarm available. It's prompt engineering. You're not coding the AI. You're not having to go into the back end and start working away at this and, being an actual genius coder. You're a prompt engineer. You're a prompt genius. So you need to know what these different AIs expect, how to prompt them, how to set the outline for them, how to make it clear, how to know their limitations, how to make sure they're not using bias or they're going to give you fake information, how to set their tone, how to get the format, how to reach your target audience with your prompts, right? Once you know how to do all that, then unlocking with multiple licenses and agents, which you're going to be flying around the place, automated, what you're going to be able to unlock there is incredible. So that's what I'm looking forward to as well with Swarm, not just the license. We have Suchan. He's saying, the license is really interesting. I want to see how that's going to work, especially how it integrates with AI, LLMs like ChatGPT, etc. Exactly, right? Because everyone knows that if you want to use AI effectively, you can use ChatGPT, but a lot of people say to use Claude for coding, for example. But if you could use them both in unison, they're like bouncing off each other. I would love that. That would also be really great to see as well. So that's pretty much it for this stream. I'm going to go back to testing SUI DEX. They were supposed to take questions. Yeah, but, when life gives you lemons, wise DGen, make lemonade. You can ask me questions. That's what I mean. If you've got a question, you can ask me a question. I'm here. I'm live in living color. We're just going through some final testing for SUI DEX. Hopefully by the end of the night, I'm going to put up an announcement that everything is great. We were stumped for a few days with a couple issues, not contract, actual UI issues, pooling information from the SUI blockchain to then populate onto the UI. It's absolute bitch to get some things done on SUI. It's ridiculous. But so we're going to be pulling an all-nighter to get that done. And I have a lot of questions coming in from the team at the moment, actually, which I should be answering instead of being live talking about AI. Nice. I was promoting your video and presence on the space. Thank you very much, Mr. Fairley, Wise DJ. Follow Wise DJ on Twitter at Wise DJ, by the way. You should be doing that. I don't know if I came across clear or not, because it was in my ears, everything was robotic. That's sometimes you get that with X. That's how it happens. Good old Alon. Right. Anyway, be good to each other, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for the TGE of Swarm Network, and hopefully we have a SUI DEX announcement that's going to be written up and announced today. How long will launch be once it's all okay? Once they're like, okay, we're good, and I check it, and I'm like, yep, it's good. It's like I want to put a 5-day timer, and after 5 days we go. We go. Sounds good. Nice. CCO in full force. It was good. Nice. Good. Yeah. So 5-day timer. It's as soon as I check the site and everything is working as it should be. I've used a lot of yield farms I know exactly how everything should be working. And if it's not up to my standard, then they're going to have to make it up to my standard. Got to be a witch. Right. See you guys soon. Hopefully tomorrow. See you tomorrow. Peace. Don't get wrecked. Scan the code. Buy a license.